Imola. Oh my goodness. What a race. Imola never fails to disappoint, does it? Be it 2020, be it 21, or be it 2022. Imola has been an epic race every year, and this year was no exception because we all expected that the Ferraris would be really strong in front of the Tifosi at home soil, but it did not happen. Yes, I did say it would be redemption day for Carlos Sainz. I just might have jinxed the poor guy. He did not last long. Anyway, let's start with the sprint weekend. So Max was on pole. Charles had a better start and jumped up to the lead pretty immediately, in fact. And Max had a poor start because of a gear sync issue. But later on he tried and recovered it. There was a very great start by Kevin Magnussen as well, but the only problem was the Haas strategy. I just can't seem to wrap my head around why the hell did Haas go with the medium tires for a sprint race. Maybe the car was better suited for the mediums, but it didn't make any sense. The mediums are the slower tires. But well, whatever happened. He had an amazing start, but he just dropped down and he ended up in P9, and that's where he stayed for the rest of the race. What was Haas thinking? I don't know. I mean, if they want the Steiner ship to cruise ahead, they need to be making good strategies. They could have easily won this race, or at least have been on the podium. Not win it, but at least could have been on the podium. Well, Zhou Guanyu went and had a meeting with the wall after crashing with Gasly, and he triggered the safety car on lap 1. Yep, this is just lap 1. Safety car away, the pack got back up to pace, and it was a really lovely race, especially for the McLarens. Both the McLarens drove beautifully and they ended up P5 and 6, which is double points for the team, and amazing result for the team, especially after Bahrain and Saudi, and well, Australia, they had a good comeback. So McLaren are on the up. It was also the first time ever we had a pass for the lead in the F1 sprint. And my goodness, these cars are just so good in the sprint race format. I mean, the new regulations are kicking in so well. The cars are able to follow better, the racing is better, everything is just better. And it was at the end a perfect race by both Red Bull and Ferrari drivers, finishing P1, 2, 3 and 4. Max, followed by Charles, followed by Checo, followed by Carlos. So maximum points for Max and really good points in the bag for Red Bull. Now moving on to the race, Max, well, he started on pole because he won the sprint, and he stayed there for the rest of the race, unchallenged all the way. That's brilliant. He dominated the race. Checo had a great launch. He started P3 but jumped Charles and snuck up right behind Max in P2, and well, stayed there for pretty much all the race as well. Carlos, I was backing Carlos so much for this race. I wanted him to win. I in fact thought that he would be winning in Imola in front of the Tifosi. Home race for Ferrari. He got his contract extended, but it was just not meant to be. There is a bit of a relationship which is developing between Carlos and the gravel traps. Well, what do you know? He was in the gravel trap yet again, but not due to a fault of his own, but because it just pains me to say Danny Rick crashed into him, and just spun him off the track, and he was stuck in the gravel traps. That is just horrible. And again, this is just lap 1. Now let's fast forward a bit to lap 7. Alonso had a bit of contact in the beginning, which caused some damage to the car. Initially, it didn't seem like much, but his side pod cover blew off, causing him to retire. So that was just horrible. Bad race for Alonso. I mean, he has a good car, but he's unable to prove his worth. Anyway, I'm pretty sure the Spaniard will be back and he will be chasing for points. I just hope he gets a podium or maybe even a win. That would be amazing for Alonso. Anyway, lap 8, Charles made a move on Norris and finally returned back to the podium places and started his hunt to bring down Checo for P2. But we have been talking so much about the Ferraris and the Red Bulls. We almost forgot about the Mercs. What happened? Well, George had an amazing race. He climbed all the way up to P4, in fact, where he finished. And his teammate, the 7-time world champion, he was just languishing in P13. That is not good. Lewis has been struggling with the car a lot. Probably these new regulations are suiting George's driving style way more than it does Lewis. Probably it's because George used to drive the Williams till last year, and he's used to getting the maximum out of a bad car. But we'll never know, because well, Merc always has those extremely filtered PR responses, so we might never know the real story. But anyway, George is literally dragging the Mercedes team right now. It feels like that, to stay in contention, not for the title but at least for P3 in the championship. So well done, George. There was a bit of a kerfuffle in the pits because initially we were expecting rain to fall down. In fact, from the start of the race we were expecting rain to start in another 15-20 minutes, but that never happened. So one by one the team started gambling and they came into the pits, and the pit lanes were very very busy, and inevitably it happened. It had to happen. There was contact in the pits. Ocon and Hamilton just kissed a little bit. There was an unsafe release for Ocon. No damage reported, but the stewards determined that it was unsafe release, and well, 5 seconds penalty for Ocon. So bad luck for Ocon. So which actually helped Hamilton end up in P13, which was not bad for Lewis, but well, no points. Now back to the front. Charles Leclerc was putting Checo under so much pressure for most of the race, but he ended up crumbling under it because he just was trying to get DRS and he went over the curbs on lap 53. He spun out and hit the wall and was in dire need of a wing change, which absolutely ruined his race. It was just a race to forget for the Ferrari team, actually both the Ferraris, Carlos retiring and Charles dropping out of the podium places. And well, he dropped down to P9, but he made a good recovery to P6. But well, it was a bit too late. Probably if it had happened around lap 40 or something, Charles could have tried to crawl his way back up to the podium, but by lap 53 it was all over. Well, Max won the race unchallenged, as I said, with a 16-second gap to Checo to bring home Red Bull's first 1-2 since Malaysia 2016. That is a long wait. And P3 was secured by our very own Spider-Man, Lando Norris. So just so happy, his radio was so happy, and neither him nor McLaren expected a podium today. So it was just brilliant racing. Well, he had a bit of a lonely race, yes, uneventful, but yeah, well, that's what happens. You have to take benefit when the other drivers crash out. So Norris was there to pick up the scraps, and well, another podium and back-to-back podiums for Norris at Imola, which is not a bad thing. There's something about Italy and McLaren, right? Overall, a brilliant race weekend for Max, getting the perfect weekend, taking pole, winning the sprint, pole for the race, leading every lap, winning the race, and fastest lap. A grand slam worth 34 points. He has closed the gap to Charles and has climbed up to P2 in the standings. And with Checo finishing P2 in the race, Red Bull are now just 11 points behind Ferrari in the constructors' title. So Max is just 27 points behind Charles. Checo is just 5 points behind Max. And Russell has been just doing a brilliant job in that Mercedes. That Mercedes is at best a midfield car right now, but he is in P4, which is not bad, and just 5 points behind Checo. What an amazing race weekend. I mean, brilliant. 5 on 5 for this race weekend. So next stop is Miami, the first Miami Grand Prix, which is going to be in the second week of May, and I just can't wait for it. So if you like this type of content, guys, please do press that like button. Do hit the subscribe button, it helps us out a lot, and we have a lot of videos coming your way. And do let us know your comments. How do you think these videos are, and what do you expect from us in the future? Anyways, I am Sid, and this was the Meninverse. Bye, guys.